After my wife died, I was just looking for family. I offered to help around their house cleaning, repairs, anything. One morning, my son-in-law told me, "You're just getting in the way. We didn't invite you to be a burden." My daughter said, "You need to go find a life that isn't ours." I packed my tools and left, but not before hiding the letter that proved what I still controlled. My wife died on a cold Tuesday morning in February. Evelyn was everything to me. We were married 43 years. She passed in our home in Charleston, West Virginia, the same house we lived in since '89. She fought hard, but the cancer spread too fast. Her last words were, "Take care of Marcy." That hit me hard, because that's all I wanted to do anyway. After the funeral, I stayed in the house for a few weeks. I tried to keep busy, cleaned the garage, sorted through paperwork, fixed a few things around the house. But every night I'd sit at the kitchen table and stare at her empty seat. After a while, I couldn't take it anymore. Marcy was our only daughter. She lived in Lexington, Kentucky with her husband Brad and their 2 kids. We weren't as close as we used to be, but we never fought. We just grew apart after she married Brad. I called her one night and asked if I could come stay for a while, just until I figured things out. She said yes. Sounded a little unsure, but she said yes. I packed a small bag, my tools, and drove down. I didn't ask for anything. I didn't expect comfort. I just needed to be around someone. When I got there, I offered to help around the house. Brad's not a handyman. I noticed their storm door was hanging crooked. Fixed it that first day. The next morning, I cleaned out the garage and replaced the busted light in their laundry room. I figured if I was going to be there, I might as well earn my keep. At first, no one said much. Brad mostly ignored me unless something needed to be done. Marcy was busy with work. She's a nurse at a local clinic. The grandkids barely spoke. They were glued to their phones. I'd make breakfast, clean up, then go outside to do yard work. I found peace in it. I felt useful again. 2 weeks in, Marcy thanked me for fixing the broken tiles in the kitchen. That felt good. I thought things were going okay, but little stuff started to happen. Brad would make comments. One time, I came in with muddy boots after trimming trees in the back. He sighed loud and said, "You're tracking dirt in again." Another time, I changed the air filters and he said, "You don't have to touch everything, you know." I kept my mouth shut. Then, one night, I heard them talking in the kitchen after they thought I went to bed. Brad said, "He's been here over a month. Is he ever leaving?" Marcy didn't say much, but she didn't defend me either. That stung. Still, I stayed. I didn't know where else to go. I figured maybe if I helped more, they'd see I wasn't trying to be a burden. I helped fix their back fence. I resealed the windows upstairs to keep the heat in. I cleaned the attic even though it wasn't mine to clean. I went grocery shopping when I saw the fridge was empty. I tried to make myself small, quiet, useful. Then came that morning. I'd just come back from the hardware store. Bought supplies to patch the leaky pipe under their kitchen sink. I walked in the door and Brad was waiting for me. He didn't smile. Didn't say hello. He looked me right in the face and said, "You're just getting in the way. We didn't invite you to be a burden." I stared at him. I thought it was a joke at first. Then Marcy walked down the stairs. She didn't look surprised. "Dad," she said, "you need to go find a life that isn't ours." That hurt more than I can explain. I raised her. I gave everything I had for her and her future. I taught her to ride a bike. I held her when her first boyfriend dumped her. I stayed up all night helping her study for her nursing exams. And now she was saying I didn't belong in her life. I didn't argue. I nodded. Told them I'd be gone by the afternoon. I went downstairs to the basement to pack my things. I kept my tool chest there. As I loaded my truck, I stopped and looked at the far wall. There's a loose board on the bottom shelf of the old workbench. A spot nobody touches. That's where I hid the letter. Before Evelyn passed, we went to a lawyer and updated our estate plans. We had a trust set up for Marcy and the grandkids. But we added something important. Control of the trust would stay with me until I passed, or until I signed early release forms. Marcy didn't know that. She thought she'd be getting that money soon. She and Brad were planning on redoing their kitchen, maybe buying a boat. I'd overheard them talking one night. I took the letter, folded it carefully, and slid it behind that board again. Then I left. They think I'm just an old man who didn't know when to leave. What they don't know is I'm still the one holding the key to the future they're banking on. After I left Lexington, I drove straight back to Charleston. I didn't call anyone. I didn't cry. I didn't sleep much either. The house was cold and quiet when I got back. Everything still smelled like Evelyn's lotion and old pine cleaner. I spent the next few days going through old boxes. I found her journals, her recipe cards, photos from when Marcy was little. I tried not to think about what had happened, but it kept hitting me like a slow hammer to the chest. 2 weeks later, I got a call from an unfamiliar number. I almost didn't answer, but I picked up anyway. It was Brad. He didn't ask how I was. He didn't apologize. He just said, "Hey, we were looking through some of the documents you left down in the basement. There's a letter missing. From your lawyer." I stayed quiet. He kept talking. "It had something to do with the trust. We need it for some paperwork." I said, "I didn't leave anything important down there." He got quiet for a second, then said, "Marcy's been really stressed. Could you just send us what you have? It's probably nothing, just some verification we need." That's when I knew they figured out more than they were letting on. They must have been expecting the trust money to hit their account soon. Maybe they tried to use it already. Maybe they were denied, and now they were scrambling. I didn't answer him, just said, "I'll think about it." Then I hung up. 3 days later, Marcy called. This time her voice was softer. "Dad," she said, "I'm sorry for how things went down. We weren't trying to hurt you. We were just overwhelmed. Brad's been under a lot of pressure at work. The kids have had issues at school. It wasn't about you." I waited. Then she got to it. "There's a letter we need. Something about the trust. Can you check to see if you have it?" I could almost hear the desperation under her voice. That night, I pulled out my copy of the trust documents. I read through them again. Plain as day, no early access unless authorized by surviving spouse. Currently ineligible without signature. That was me. I thought about sending them the letter. Evelyn always wanted to make sure Marcy and the kids were okay. But Evelyn also made it very clear, only if they're responsible. Only if they treat you right. They didn't. I didn't respond. A few days after that, Brad emailed me. The tone was different now, less polite. He said they had spoken to a financial advisor who told them it didn't make sense that the trust couldn't be accessed. He said they might need to involve a lawyer to clear things up. That pissed me off. I replied with one line, "You should talk to the lawyer who set it up. His name is Alan Richter in Charleston. He has the original documents." That same night, I got a call from Alan. He told me Brad had contacted him. He wanted to know if there was a way to override your control, Alan said. I told him no, not without you. "Good," I said. Then Alan paused. He also asked about the clause Evelyn added, the one about treatment of the surviving spouse. I sat up straighter. "You told him?" "No," Alan said, "but I did remind him the trust was set up with a lot of care and a lot of conditions." I thanked him and hung up. A few weeks passed. Nothing from Marcy. No emails. No calls. Silence again. Until one Sunday morning, I saw a black SUV pull into my driveway. It was Brad. He got out alone. No Marcy, no kids. I didn't open the door right away. Just watched him stand there with his hands in his jacket pockets. Finally, I stepped outside. "I just want to talk," he said. I crossed my arms. "Then talk." He sighed. "We messed up. I messed up. I pushed you out. I didn't realize what I was doing at the time. But looking back, I treated you like some old handyman instead of like family. I didn't say anything. We need that money," he said finally. "I lost my job. The house is behind on the mortgage. We were counting on the trust." I looked him in the eye. "So now I'm useful again." He didn't deny it. Then he said something I didn't expect. "Marcy doesn't know I came here. She's angry with me. She thinks I ruined everything. She's probably right." I watched him for a moment. He looked tired, thinner. His eyes were sunken. "Come inside," I said. He followed me in, sat at the same table where Evelyn used to eat breakfast every morning. I poured him coffee. He thanked me. Then he broke down. He admitted he'd been spending money behind Marcy's back. Credit cards, a bad investment in some online business. He thought the trust money would cover it all. He never thought I'd say no. When he left that night, he looked different. Not smug, not proud, just scared. I didn't tell him about the letter, but I did start planning what I'd do next. They thought I was finished. They had no idea what I still had in my hands. The next twist came faster than I expected. 3 days after Brad's visit, I got a certified letter in the mail. Came from a law firm in Lexington I'd never heard of. Inside was a formal notice. Marcy Reynolds is filing a motion to challenge the current trustee authority of the Reynolds Family Trust, citing undue influence and mental decline of the surviving spouse. I had to read it twice. She was trying to say I wasn't in the right state of mind to control the trust. That Evelyn had made me the trustee when I was already slipping. That I was misusing the role. That I might be suffering from early dementia. I sat there holding the paper, hands shaking. Not from fear, but from something deeper. Betrayal I couldn't even find words for. I spent the next few hours digging through every legal paper Evelyn and I had ever signed. Every doctor's note. Every official record. I'd passed a full physical 6 months before Evelyn died. Clean slate. Sharp memory. No meds, no issues. Just grief. Marcy knew that. She knew. She wasn't trying to save her family anymore. She was trying to take what she thought she deserved, no matter what it meant for me. I called Alan Richter, our lawyer. She filed, he asked, surprised. I just spoke to her 2 weeks ago. She sounded cooperative. She was lying, I said. Alan was quiet for a second. Then he told me not to worry. We'll respond. I'll handle it. But this will go public. If we fight this, your relationship with your daughter might not recover. That made me laugh. What relationship? He filed the response the next morning. Included my recent physicals, letters from my doctor, and copies of my signed and notarized interactions with the trust. All airtight, but that's when the real dirt started to rise. 2 weeks later, I got another call. This one from a woman named Julia Walker. She introduced herself softly, hesitant, then said something that knocked the breath out of me. I'm Brad's sister. I'd only met her once, years ago, during a Thanksgiving Marcy begged us to host. Quiet girl. Didn't say much back then? But now her voice was firm. I know you probably don't want to talk to me, she said, but I need to tell you something. I think Brad's planning to transfer the house title into a shell company. One that's in his friend's name. I only know because I saw emails on his old iPad when I visited last week. I sat there stunned. Why would he do that? I asked. To hide assets, she said. If your trust money doesn't come through, he's going to file bankruptcy. But he doesn't want to lose the house. So he's trying to move it somewhere the banks can't touch. I couldn't even process that yet, and then she added he's also been meeting with another woman. I don't know for sure, but I think it's serious. My stomach dropped. You're telling me my daughter doesn't know this? She suspects, Julia said, but she doesn't know the whole picture. I'm only telling you because I don't want my niece and nephew to get crushed in this. I know Marcy's being selfish, but Brad's worse. I thanked her. Then I hung up and sat in silence for hours. The trust money wasn't just about comfort for them anymore. It was a life raft. Brad was drowning in secrets. Marcy was clinging to him while reaching for what she thought was an easy rescue, me. That's when I knew I had to do more than just hold the line. I needed to expose everything. So I called Alan again. I want to make an amendment, I said. To the trust? He asked. Yeah, I want a clause added. If any beneficiary attempts to legally challenge the terms of the trust or the mental capacity of the trustee without strong proof, it voids their portion permanently. Alan paused. You sure? Absolutely, I said. And what about the grandkids? He asked. That was the hardest part. Leave a secondary option, I said. If they reach out to me directly, respectfully, as adults, let them earn it back. But only them. He updated the trust. We filed it. And that's when the pressure really hit. I started getting texts from unknown numbers. One read, "You're tearing our family apart." Another said, "This is about money, not love. You're punishing everyone over hurt feelings." One even said, "You'll die alone and nobody will come to your funeral." I kept every message. Didn't respond to a single one, but I did return to Lexington. Not to their house, to their neighborhood association office. Turns out I'd quietly been paying dues on a tiny and used property Evelyn bought before she passed. Half a block from their street. She'd intended to build a garden lot there someday. That day never came. But now I had something close. I leased a tiny prefab home onto that land. No fanfare. No announcement. I moved in 3 weeks later. The first time Marcy saw me walking past her street, she froze. I waved. Calm. Cold. She walked away. They wanted me gone. But now, I was just close enough to watch everything fall apart. It took 6 months. 6 months of quiet watching. No more calls. No more visits. Just me, in that little prefab house half a block from their big 2-story home, watching the cracks get wider and deeper. First came the for sale sign in their yard. Then it vanished. Then came another sign, bank foreclosure, do not remove. That one stayed up longer. The trust case never even made it to court. Alan filed a motion to dismiss, and the judge threw it out almost immediately after seeing the medical records and the amendment I added. Marcy didn't show up. Brad did. He looked like hell, thin, hair messy, eyes wild. Afterward, Alan told me Brad tried to threaten him in the hallway, said he'd go to the press. Alan just laughed. Tell them what? He said. That your wife's dying parents wanted you to earn the money you tried to steal? I wasn't done yet. I waited until the foreclosure was final. I waited until they moved out, quietly like thieves in the night. No goodbye, no knock on my door. They didn't even tell the neighbors, just packed up and left. I knew where they went, Julia told me. Marcy and the kids moved into a 2-bedroom apartment on the west side of town. Brad didn't go with them. Turns out Julia was right. He was cheating. He moved in with some woman named Dana, a bartender, 10 years younger than Marcy. Pregnant. Marcy found out through a Facebook post. I didn't gloat. I didn't celebrate. I just waited. Then one day I went to that old house, my daughter's house, the one I fixed and cleaned and cared for. I knocked on the neighbor's door and asked if they'd seen anyone come by since the bank took it. No, they said. It's just been sitting there. That night, I returned with my tools. I walked the perimeter, checked the gates, checked the locks. The fence I repaired still held firm. And then I went around back, pried off the basement window grate and slid inside. I found it exactly where I left it. That envelope behind the loose board on the far wall. I took it, put it in my coat. Then I walked through every room. The scuffed wood floors I refinished. The windows I resealed. The pipes I repaired. All of it now left to rot. In the kitchen, I saw a note still taped to the fridge. A chore list for the kids. My name was written in tiny print at the bottom, ask Grandpa if he wants to fix the ceiling fan. It made my chest tighten. Not with regret, but with cold clarity. They used me. And when I stopped being useful, they threw me out like an old pair of shoes. But now? Now they were gone. And I was still standing. I didn't stop there. 2 months later, I met with a nonprofit attorney who helped me set up something Evelyn and I had once dreamed of. A scholarship fund in her name, funded by the trust money, for single mothers who want to go to nursing school. Not a dime went to Marcy, but I wasn't cruel. I didn't block the kids forever. Instead, I sent each of them a letter. Not an email, not a text, a real letter, handwritten. I told them the truth. About the trust, about their father, about what I'd seen. I told them they could come find me when they were older if they wanted to talk, if they wanted to ask questions, if they wanted to rebuild something on their own terms. I told them I'd wait, not forever but for a while. As for Marcy, she tried once more to reach out. She called from a different number, left a voicemail, said she was sorry about how things happened, and hoping we could move past the tension. She didn't say, I'm sorry I betrayed you. She didn't say I was wrong. So I didn't respond. That was the last time I heard from her. Years passed. I stayed in that little house near her old neighborhood mostly to remind myself of what happened and to keep an eye on what came next. Eventually, I sold the house and moved closer to the scholarship office downtown. The fund grew. Dozens of women went through nursing school because of Evelyn's name. I attended every single graduation. Gave a handshake to every student. Sometimes they hugged me. Sometimes they cried. Not one of them treated me like a burden. I lived long enough to watch real kindness grow from all that pain. And I made sure that letter, the one Marcy and Brad were so desperate to find, was sealed forever in the scholarship's founding papers. Let them tell their version of the story. Let them spin it however they want. I have the truth. And I have peace. That's the revenge no one ever sees coming.